Good morning. It's Bob Massey. It's Facebook Live. It's been about a week. I was actually out of town last week on vacation, take a little time off, so I missed you guys. And a couple things I want to tell you. First of all, our website, masseyandmassey.com, we now are offering online consultations for a very affordable amount. You ask 3 questions, brief questions, certain amount of characters, and you put it on PayPal, and we'll respond to that. Sometimes, if you can't get to the office, you want to do it online, we can answer some of your questions. Because you guys are always so nice and watch Facebook Live, I asked the other day, what kinds of questions would you like me to address, just to give you some information. We got a lot, but I'm going to take 3 or 4 that I think are very relevant. So one man writes in and asked, as it relates to Airbnb, what do you do about people that are doing vacation rentals and the landlord doesn't know? Well, first of all, vacation rentals in communities are specific ordinances where you're not really permitted to rent out, for example, on weekends because it's a violation of an ordinance. The reason behind that is because many people are basically residents that live there. They don't want, people coming in for the weekend and they bring some kids in and they party, and it causes sometimes there's crime and disruption in the neighborhood. Now, obviously, Airbnb is in the business of renting, but if in fact you live in a community where you know that Airbnb is renting it out, or any company, it doesn't have to be Airbnb, then the bottom line is, and you know who the landlord is, and if there's a homeowners association, then you need to be proactive. The landlord's name obviously would be available through the recorder's office to find out who owns it. And then you could potentially contact the landlord and say, hey, you may not realize this, but your tenant or somebody is renting this out to make money off of your property. So if there is an HOA, you should contact that, because generally speaking, that's against the CC&Rs or the bylaws of the community. And as a result, that's something you should look into. But you have to be proactive on it, and you have to make sure that what you're saying is accurate also. But yeah, you have the right to contact the landlord, the HOA, and if in fact it violates a county ordinance, you actually could contact City of Henderson or Clark County that may have an ordinance on the books. And I'll check that. I know there's an ordinance, I just don't know the number. And then that way you could just tell them, and there's an enforcement division that goes out and basically cites the people for doing it. Next question was homeowners associations. Always a very hot subject and a very controversial one. You get some HOAs that work very hard, and they have very good men and women that try to enforce the provisions in the community, the CC&Rs, the covenants, conditions, and restrictions, and it helps make the community better. But you also get some HOA boards that they're not so quick to do the things that you want to have done, but they're quick to cite you for violations if the garbage cans are out, if a plant is dead in the front yard, or recently, by the way, it's amazing. I'm actually going to write a letter today. At my daughter's house, I had 2 feet, literally less than 2 feet of rocks put in the backyard because there was flooding going on, landscaping, and I get a picture from the HOA with a truck in the front yard with 2 little piles of rocks saying you have to get approval for this. They get overzealous. You have to respect the architectural design. You have to respect the bylaws and the CC&Rs, but at the same time, if you have an HOA that's not complying, then under NRS 116, go file a complaint with the real estate division and have them look at it and say what they're not doing. If there's a management company, include them. Write a letter to the management company. Say, hey, you represent, we're paying dues, the basic pays you, and you need to make sure that these certain things that aren't being done are being done. And if not, you're going to file a complaint with the real estate division. This next one's a common problem. I bought a car from a friend, which number one means there's going to be a problem. And I found out after that there was a lien on the title. So what happened here is this person bought a car from her friend thinking that there was clear title. And when she went to get title, there was probably only a bill of sale done, if that, they found out there was a lien against it. So in other words, either the car was not paid off and the friend sold it to the friend knowing that there's an outstanding lien against it, or the alternative, maybe that title was used as collateral for a debt. First of all, anytime you buy a vehicle from an individual, You go to DMV, you find out exactly what the status is of the title to the car, if there's a lien against the car, and most importantly, if you find that out, you do the transfer down to DMV accordingly. You make sure that the registration is out of your name if you're selling it and in your name if you're buying it, because these soft deals I see all the time is where people now have to go hire a lawyer to write a demand letter to the seller of the car, your friend, who then basically stuck you for a lien on the title, and you're stuck with paying the lien on the title to get clear title, when if you'd have done your due diligence initially, you wouldn't have this problem. Take the time to go to DMV, research the title. You probably do some of that online, and then find out the status of the lien. And if you find out the title is clear, you go down to DMV, you do the transaction accordingly, so everything's out of the seller's name and everything's into your name. The last question I'm talking about is homesteads. Homestead is a method to protect your house from a certain kinds of creditors or creditors in general, except it doesn't protect you from tax liens, of course, home improvements, of course, in other words, liens for improving your home. Homestead is designed where it protects you up to $550,000 equity in your home if it is your primary residence and you live there. You cannot homestead a non-domiciled, non-resident home. That protection is not there. So as a result of that, you could declare a homestead after you buy your house, go to an office supply store, fill it out, record it at the recorder's office, and your homestead is good. Usually if you refinance your home, the homestead comes off. They have to refinance it, then you put it back on, and it protects you up to $550,000 equity in your home. So those are some of the questions I wanted to answer. Again, our law firm is a full-service firm. We practice, of course, in personal injury. I've done for 35 years. Real estate litigation, business litigation, and we also do what's called a corporate advisor, where we represent businesses and we advise them on what direction. I just had a guy call me this morning and said, look, I started a company. I need to know certain things, and I basically hire me and my son Robert both, to advise them as to what steps they need to take. We do wills, trusts, and probate. And my son Robert, in addition to the other areas, does credit repair, where if you have something on your credit report that's wrong, he's able to clean it up for you at no cost to you. Our office number is 702-870-1100. Please share this with your friends. And my website is masseyandmassey.com. I'll see you next week.